So the project at hand is this log splitter, and I'm going to show you what we got here. This is powered by a 5-horse Tecumseh, back from the era when Tecumseh was king of engines, probably 30-40 years ago. And this is a unique system in that it's a low flow. So this is a low flow gallons per minute. So it's always putting out high pressure. So when you engage this, it throttles up the engine just ever so slightly, like maybe a quarter throttle. It throttles up the engine, and then when this hits the stopper up front, when it split the log, it automatically flips this back, and then the engine revs down again as it retracts the cylinder. And so this is, whoever built this kind of, they must have known something, because it's got some interesting features on it for this tiny of a machine. And the problem is the engine ran out of oil and is seized. It's not going anywhere. There's no oil in it. There's might be a smidgen of oil at the end of the dipstick, but I'm pretty certain it got run out of oil. And being that this engine is, I've serviced this before, so I know that it's got mechanical points behind the flywheel, that I'm not sure I want to rebuild something like this that's this old, because you can get new technology engines for pretty reasonable versus rebuilding something like this. But it presents a problem here in that there's not that much space between the wheel and the frame. So when you make an engine choice, you got to pick something that's not too big. The newer engines are much wider and deeper. But I was in there yesterday at Harbor Freight, and I took a tape measure to the one on display. And this is the famous 212cc Predator, and it's 3/4 inch shaft, so that should fit. That machine over there, that has a 3/4 inch shaft too, so it should fit. And then at its widest point is the muffler to the recoil side. It's 11 inches, and I think we got 12 or 13. I measured from this shield here to the wheel out here, and we got almost 13 inches. So I think we should fit. So we're gonna get the old engine removed, get the pump unscrewed from it, and this is nicely done. This is using an official pump mount here. So we'll get that all unscrewed from the engine, and then get the engine taken off, and then we'll place the new engine here, and we'll see if it fits. And if it fits, we should be golden. I'm pretty certain it does, because I didn't measure the depth. So that's the project at hand. It should be a fun one. It should be a fun repower. And I'm guessing that the new engine will be much quieter than this is, because these were not very quiet. These are not quiet at all. So for many people, this is fun. I enjoy repowering something with a new engine like this. So we should have fun. Okay, so we got the engine bolts. Get the engine bolts out. So now we're gonna move it over here so that we can get better access to the pump mount bolts. A little bit easier. Should be. It should be. seen on some of the newer engines, they actually have built into the case of the engine, they'll have like a standoff, so you don't need to use washers like in this guy, like we did on this guy. See, the more bolts I take out, more pressure I get. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now that joint should really just pull off. But being that the engine is seized, I can't really turn this to see. I can't really turn it to see if there's another Allen. What a coupler. Yeah, it's not good. I think it is. We could turn it like this and see if there's another. Yeah, there is another Allen too. So it won't go without us loosening another Allen too. Yeah, there is another Allen too. It's on there, but I need a tiny wrench. It's really tight, and the short side of the Allen tool is just not long enough for me to turn it by hand. Should just slide off. What is that? 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 Yeah, there are two. Where is there? Is it the same one? Is it the same one? I don't think so. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. There we go. Gentle does it. I'll take brains over brawn any day of the week. That was nice. So now, as you can see, the coupler slid off. That's really good. Really good. Get that off, and I'm going to save all these washers. The engine body and the pump. There's that. So the worst is done. The engine is off. Engine is unmounted. Pump is off the engine. Turn the heat off too. It's really nice in here. So all that's left is all that's left here. All that's left here is the. Let's see if I can turn it up. Like that. So you got to undo this throttle cable. So what they have is they have when the mechanism trips for the cylinder to return to the home position, it changes the throttle of the machine. So it's throttling it up by itself, just like maybe a quarter short throttle or something. I mean, really, you wouldn't have to, but that's what you're doing. Well, it is the engine. You cannot pull the engine. It is completely solid. Fixed. I think with a new engine, that's much quieter. You probably just set the throttle and leave it. So we're going to clean this with some citrus degreaser, Zap Citrus. Clean the surface and make it ready for the repower with the new engine. I don't know if it's for coffee or clean this all nicely. See that all this oil? The engine was definitely leaking and burning oil. Because it's basically underneath the engine. Does a good job. Just don't make it too weak when you're mixing it. You also don't want to make it too strong. really much quieter. It would be significantly quieter. Well, the Tecumseh is off. So if you're wondering if it's for sure the engine is completely locked. There's no pulling the rope on it. It's out of oil. And then if you come over here to the pump, you reach in here to that Lovejoy joint, you can easily turn the pump. So you know it's not the pump. It's the engine is seized for sure. The Repower. Got everything cleaned up. Go ahead and make sure everything is proper in here. This way. Yeah, they went up considerably in price. Just 6 months ago. 6 months ago, they were $120, and the current economic conditions are making stuff go up in price. So these guys are up too. They're like 150 plus tax. You used to be able to get them for 120, and then they'd have they even have a rebate. Oftentimes they have a rebate, a $20 rebate on top of that. So you can pick them up for $100. No big deal. Bedtime reading. You can reach for the manual if you like. I'm not sure if I will. I know how an engine works. I know the maintenance that you do to them. Oh, nice. There we get some of the literature. The markings. I've done one of these. There's actually, I don't know if you know this, but there's actually 2 factories that make these for Harbor Freight. There's 2 factories that make them. There's actually 2 part numbers listed on the company that sells these themselves. There's 2 part numbers, and the difference in a part number is based on the factory which makes it, the 2 different brands that make it. So in the box you get one of these spark plug wrenches. There's a rod in here that sticks through this hole. Change the spark plug. I'm just going to put this back in here. Put the packaging back. I don't know if you want to save the wrench or not. There's a box. There's not that much to it. So this is the engine. This is the famous and fabled 212cc Predator, which is rated at 6.5 to 7 horsepower. It's rated at full gas tank, electrical stabilizer, engine oil. I'm going to leave this on there so that I don't forget to put oil in it when I'm done. It's hardly a chance that I will. And then what else to give you here is the shaft. The shaft is holder, but I don't see the fly. There should be a keyway that may have fallen out in the box, because I don't see the keyway under this. This tie I'm assuming is to hold a keyway on that shaft. So, but I if it was the same length as the keyway I was using, then it would be worth it beneficial to replace it when I had it. What we're gonna do, everything looks good. We'll see if we can crank it. It cranks fine. It looks good inside. Like I said, add oil before you do anything. So I don't want to take any of the literature off of it because I got to make sure it fits before I remove the literature from it. And then we can place it on the machine and make sure it fits, and then we'll go from there. So we got the engine placed on here. Remember, after we cleaned everything, we got the engine unboxed and we got clearance, and this was our concern here from the old engine to these, because these new style where the piston is 45 degrees at a slant. They're somewhat wider than the old vertical pistons like that Briggs and the flathead engines used to have back in the day. But as you can see, we got nice clearance between the wheel and the recoil, and we got nice clearance up front. We got nice clearance back there. So I think we're good. I think we're golden. So I'm going to go ahead and place the engine on the ground again, mark the holes and drill them, because none of the old holes line up. As you can see, we're going to be about 1 inch off of where the old engine was, but it's not a problem. I was able to slide the pump onto the shaft, and so the hoses make it flexible. So we should not encounter any problems doing this. So this should go good. This should go fairly easy. Okay, so we've got the holes marked here with a pattern and drilled. Let's put this cable aside. We'll hook up that. The cable will hook up last. We've got our holes drilled. And, we put oil in the engine. So I already put oil in the engine so that we don't have to mess with it down here. So we're going to place it on our new holes. And I think it would be easiest if we first connected the pump again, because we can pull the engine out up to the wheel. So if we did the pump first, we can pull this out and work on it, even turn it somewhat. And that makes it easier to get to mounting the pump. And then we'll place it back in its place. That would be the easiest. So that's what we'll do. Okay, so now we got my headlight. Okay, so I didn't find a new keyway with the engine. So we're just going to reuse the one we had, and it's not. It's the keyway that I was using came with a pump, and there's nothing wrong with it. Usually, if you get a new keyway, you just do the keyway. So we just replace. You could mount the second half of the coupler on the shaft. Let's turn the keyway. Let's turn the keyway straight out. That will make it easier. There we go. So we got the keyway turned straight up. Now we'll place the keyway like it was originally. Let's see which way was it. The whole direction. Like that, like that. Probably like that. Most likely. And place it like this. And I think I'm right. I think there is only one set screw, and that's right on the keyway. Yeah. No, there are two. There are two. Okay. Yeah, there's two. Set screw. Let's turn this one back a smidge. Now we'll slide her on. So we'll slide this onto the engine. There's a keyway already in the shaft of the engine. Nice and easy. There we go. Nice and easy. There we go. So you don't want this keyway too far back. Now let's turn this and I think you can't do it like that. No. You can't do it like that. The coupler has to be on the inside of the frame. When you slide it. There's a rookie mistake. Okay, now slide it onto the frame. Slide it onto the frame. Then inside. And inside the coupler. You kind of have to do it at the same time. You kind of have to have this in the coupler, and then as you're sliding it in, you're facing it on the shaft, which is not a big deal. And this is an easy, clean setup here. And this is clean compared to some of the situations you might do. I mean, there'll be situations where you'd see if I could get my other hand in here. I'll rub a couple away from that. Yeah. Kind of how it goes in a situation like this. See, out here, it was super easy. As soon as you go in here and do it, it's already got its own difficulties. It's already got its own difficulties. Okay, so we got the bolts all in. And I'm going to try and navigate it. My other camera went dead here, so I'm going to use another one. And so we got the engine bolted down. We got 2 bolts on this side. And then we got... Let me go over on this side here. This is a fancy gimbal stand here. So we got 2 bolts on this side. So we got nice clearance between the wheel and the recoil. We got decent clearance back there between the shield and the muffler. So yeah, this Predator fit awesome on here. We put oil in it. Here's your oil checker. We'll make sure you turn it off because we just got to pour gas in it. Put some gas in it and we'll be able to try it. And then I even see here you can actually turn the light on your phone. Wow. So for videoing, you can turn the light on in the Zap. So one of the concerns I had when I mounted this is this hose. Whether it should be on this side or the other side. See this? And before it was that's a good question if I should bring it over on this side. It might take off some strain off of it if I put it over on this side. Like that. See here it can lay into this space. Like that. See, and then it's not such a sharp bend here as it comes out of that. It's not, see now it's not such a sharp bend as it comes out of the filter base. I think I like this better than on the other side. It looks better on the other side, but I think this is better. So we're going to leave it like this because there's less strain on it. This looks good. It's all clean. Pump is nicely mounted, as you can see, just like it was with the old engine. So where we're at, so we're going to throw some gas in her. Take this last warning label off because we already did the oil. I checked the air cleaner, looks good, and we even attached the throttle cable from the old the old engine, there's a throttle cable that when you flip this here, it revs it up and down. We might have to adjust that as we go through here. So I'm going to place you guys up here, and I'll place you guys up here on the workbench. I'll turn this sideways like that. Maybe it'll be a better view if I place you here on the workbench and just face you that way. Let's see here. Try to not do too much shaking. Oh, you got to be careful here. You don't want to drop your phone, because this is not just your phone. This is your daily communication that you don't want to drop. So let me see if I can turn it down with the gimbal. Yeah. I don't really like that. I don't really like it that much. Let's put you down on a box here. If it was taller, it would be better. Let me see. See, in this case, one box might be better. The one box that we have earlier. See, I'm a newbie at this. I don't know all the tricks yet. We'll use the original engine box. Place you up here. Hopefully we won't spill you. I like this, that you can turn your camera's flash on so that you actually have light. So, alright, let's go ahead and grab the gas can. I don't like this though. I'm afraid if I touch the box, the camera will go flying. Because the tripod is not that big on these selfie gimbal sticks. So we'll take the final warning off. Take the final warning off here. Put some gas in. Start it up. Yeah. Pressure. Should be enough to start. That should be enough for the test phase. See, when you break in a new engine, you're supposed to put 5-10 hours on it before you change the oil. You shouldn't use a regular oil change interval on these, because they're breaking in. There's 5-10 hours. So make sure you do that. So that's probably a quarter tank. We've got the ignition turned on. And in here is the gas. I'm guessing the gas is on here. And then we'll turn the choke on. Look at that. It's cold, and then it stopped. So it may want some choke because it's still cold. First stroke with the Repower. At some point it's going to retract that stuff. So I can see that the throttle isn't working. So I get a screwdriver to adjust it. So how this throttle works is we pull it back. doesn't pull it all that much. It might be low on oil. It might be. It might not be enough oil to. Let's see. We'll rev it up. See what it does now. I see what it's doing. The cable is preventing it from revving up. Oh, I got it. And that's I think we should throw it off. Yeah, I would throw that throttle off, and you can use whatever throttle you want. So, okay, so we got everything done. I decided we're not going to use that throttle cable that the old engine used. And I just coiled it up in here. With zip ties. And if somebody ever wants to mess with it, they can. I don't think you need it. It didn't do much on the old engine. And I don't see the point. This engine is more powerful than the other engine was. It's way quieter. I don't think there's a point to what it was doing for the old engine. So I just stripped it out of the way, and we got a throttle here. We have a throttle range that I'm limiting. On these, you can actually limit it how high it goes with there's a screw in here that prevents this from going higher than it's going now. So I set the high and the low. So on the low speed, I picked a speed that even if this was really cold and you were splitting wood with it in the cold, it's still a safe idle speed, where it wouldn't stall out, even if somebody didn't quite know what they were doing. So it's got a safe idle speed, and then I set the higher range so it doesn't rev too high, because this is a low volume, high pressure system that they're using on this. So I'll show you what it does. I'm going to start it up. And I'll show you the range that it operates on. Give me a second here. Make sure the ignition is on, fuel is turned open. I'm actually going to shut this off here while we're still testing, because I want it to empty when we're. These engines are quite something. I mean, they're very economical. Well, this is low idle. I like the range. So I think this is a good speed, even though it was really cold. If you could split at this speed, you got a horse and a half, almost 2 horsepower built more than it has. So it's pretty fast. It trips and then it returns all on its own. And then this is high. I don't want it to rev 3,600 RPM. This is a safe range. We got all this range. But this is as high as I will let it go. I'm going to shut the gas off when we're done in a minute. But this is what I would consider a safe range. Pretty fast. This turned out amazing. Absolutely amazing. Looks good. Runs good. So this is a successful repower. I like it. Turned out fantastic. we're just gonna let it run itself out of gas, and it's gonna empty the fuel line, and we'll park it outside. And then tomorrow we'll get some wood cut with the chainsaw, and we'll try it. We'll make sure we'll put it through the paces with a couple logs. I'm sure Drew would like to put it through the paces with some logs, just to be sure. And then you'll check the bolts again on the pump coupler, where the pump is mounted in the engine. Just make sure everything is tight after a bit of run time. And also on these, you should run the engine like 5 to 10 hours and change the oil just because of the break-in period. So yeah, it's been a fun project. Fun.